I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a 3-minute cattle market update for Wednesday, September the 7th. And man, the wreck is on and it seems like gravity never fails. Everybody wondering how come and how these cattle have fallen so far and so fast. And we've had a wreck or two since the big record high prices there in 2014. But you know, the reason why and how these cattle fell so far and so fast is because they had so far to fall. We just couldn't believe how high cattle got here, you know, in 2014, and the record highs and just astronomical places that they got. Well, we just had so far to fall. You know, my dad bought and sold cattle his whole life. He's been gone for a little over 6 years, but if he walked through that door right now and I tried to tell him what cattle had done since he'd been dead, there's absolutely no way that I could describe it to him to where he would believe it. And that's just the reason that it's fallen so fast. Everybody's wondering, you know, how could cattle get so cheap? We're just now getting back to what cattle are supposed to bring. You know, fat cattle are supposed to bring in the 70s or 80s somewhere, and feeder cattle and calves either side of $1. Well, we're getting back down there close to those levels now, and nobody thought it was going to happen. I never dreamed that cattle would get as high as they did. I had, although thought that someday they'd get back to what they were always brought before, what they brought in modern times. But we're getting back there right now. You look at live cattle futures on October, Friday there at the end last week before the holiday was down $1.97 to end the week at 101.60, which was $4.75 lower for the week heading into the holiday weekend. Closed on Monday, of course. Tuesday down $1.57 to end the day on Tuesday at $100.02. So we're getting with a spot fat cattle market on the board is going to be under $1 now, and it could be that way for some time. Feeder cattle on Friday to end the week down $2.42, ending the week at $134.87, which was down just over $5 for the week. After the holiday, Tuesday was down $4.37 to end the day on Tuesday at $130.50, and these feeder cattle are really falling because they had so far to fall. You look at fat cattle before the holiday weekend, 94,300 head. We're probably going to move more cattle on a negotiated basis than we did the prior year for the first time in a long time. That's just because, it's not because they're buying more, it's just they're buying more cattle, but it's not a bigger percentage of what they're buying. But you look at last week's fat cattle trade, your weighted average on your steers 109.68 live, down 492. Your dress sales 173.94, down 629 for the compared to the previous week. And you look at your dress price now at 173 and change there, and it's going to be a lot lower than that this week. That's about what the live cattle were bringing back at the big high. You remember how far we were up there, where those cattle were bringing nearly $3,000. Your yearlings last week in St. Joe at the big sale there, the feeder cattle auction, they had some yearlings weighed just over 8, bring $1.50. Word spread all over the Midwest and everywhere. Wow, 8-weight cattle at $1.50. It hadn't been that long ago that they were bringing $2.50. Remember that, we just had so far to fall. You know, we got calves right now, 500-pound steer calf, you know, bringing $1.30 or $1.40 in a lot of places there. They were bringing $3.30 or $3.40 not that long ago. But, you know, our fat cattle, they did have some trade late last week, probably as low as $1.07. We're sure not going to get any more than that this week for fat cattle, $1.07. We'll probably keep them over $1, maybe one more week before they sink under $1, and that's kind of a threshold that's just going to drop off the map there. Last week's kill was revised up to 610,000, biggest kill we've had in a long time. 49,000 on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. These packers are making money, I mean hand over fist. They haven't lost money at all calendar year. They usually have a bad quarter or something in there. They haven't had a bad day this year. And you know, they talk about working together to keep this industry strong. When they got their foot on these fat cattle sellers' head, they will not let them up for air. And they are not doing it this time either. And you look at how far these feeder cattle have fallen, how far these yearlings have fallen. And people think about the wrecks we had back in the mid-70s and thinking about it being worse. Just think if corn was high like it was back then, or interest was nearly 20% like it was back then. Feed is cheap and money's cheap, and yet we've still got these feeder cattle breaking like they are, but hopefully it won't take the heads clean off, maybe just some bad wounds. But you look at your cash feeder cattle market for last week was $4 to $10 lower by the end of the week. You look at a few sales they had, mostly specials. Torrington, Wyoming, Russell, Iowa, some places like that have some Labor Day specials there. Torrington's market was $5 to $10 lower, and we're on better cattle, more load lots, a bigger run, more buyers there. But they're just running scared. Nobody knows what to give for one right now. But you look at your Cattle Market Central market report out of there. Well, look at one thing on Cattle Market Central. They had around 7,700 head. They had over 7,400 of them in that market report. You add it up over the market report, you're not going to get near the volume of what was on offer than you do on these Cattle Market Central reports. But you look at that report there, your big numbers and your heavy yearlings there, over 1,000 head of 9-weight yearlings, averaging right at 950 pounds at 127.50. You figure that up, that's a little over $1,200 at a 60-cent gain, including all your expenses. That's another $300. That's just over $1,500 by the time you get that thing fat and a big nice weight like those packers are going to want. You figure it up to what it's going to bring then at $1.02. It's just not going to quite wash right there. But you think back to what those yearlings were bringing back in the middle of the summer, coming off those double stock pastures. We thought it was horrible at 9 weights. We're bringing somewhere around $1.40. Well, there's a good test in Torrington, Wyoming. 9-weight steers 127.50, and they're falling too. But that's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you on Friday.